Oh, thank you.
So, as I was talking to Holy Spirit, who is my higher power, um, I came across some very profound um, discussion topics that were going to be possibly uh, titles for season three. However, I just rather go over them a little bit. I just rather share with you some profound wise things that'll make you think. So, with that being said, it is I, your host, Josias Abril. Josias Thorolius Epizon Abril. My full name means my Father God has healed this courageous survivor. Or is healing this courageous survivor. There we go. Because it's definitely healing. Okay, it's healed. I wish. But we're doing a lot better now this year than we were last year. It's a continuous growth process. Okay, so here are just some things that just will make us think, or some things that I don't know. Honestly, I'm just gonna go in and I'm just gonna go ahead and read it. So, point one: not crying is not an accomplishment. Just gonna think about that. Okay, and here's point two. Okay, does being ugly equal a fear of rejection? Does being quote unquote ugly equal a fear of rejection? I guess I can talk a little bit about that. I mean, I can talk a little bit about all of these. Um, I feel like the not crying is not an accomplishment is pretty much tells about itself without me having to explain more. I just know what that means for me. Not crying is not an accomplishment. Like when people say, oh no, don't cry. Like it's just kind of like we're conditioned and it's our instinct to tell someone, oh no, 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 don't cry. No, no, please cry. That is important. Tears are triumph. Okay, tears are the triumph that is from the tragedy. So it's okay to shed some tears. Shed them all. Shed them all. And it's psychologically healthy for your body and your nervous system and your mind. There's a lot of science in that. I don't have time to go over all that. Well, I do have time. I just don't have the energy to go through all that because I'm just like, I get it. Not crying is not an accomplishment. I will take that with me as wisdom and I will, remember, or at least try my best to remember to encourage myself. If you gotta cry, cry. Because I tell people, I'm like, it's okay to cry. But it's just like, when I'm in those moments myself, I'm up here trying not to cry. And I'm like, no, I want to practice what I preach. How many of us can give the best advice, but it's hard for ourselves to follow it? Like, one, that shows a beautiful heart in us because it's just like, in a way, we're putting others first. You know what I mean? We have a very selfless heart. However, it is okay to have selfishness. That basically means that, yes, this other person is important, but you are important too. So, yes, we are worth, taking our, or at least trying to take our own advice because it works so well for others. So on to the next one. Does being quote unquote ugly equal a fear of rejection? For me, yes. Like I would always, like I said in my poetry book, I said, I wrote this when I was 21, so 4 years ago from this day. I wrote in my poetry book, I was like, I don't buy clothing, I buy confidence. So when I go to the store and shop, and when I go on Amazon and shop for clothing or shoes, I'm not shopping for clothing, I'm shopping for confidence because I felt as though I was ugly without. And therefore, because I am not, at that time, I didn't think I was beautiful or attractive or anything. All I had was clothes to depend on because it seems that like I was noticed more and I was given a chance more when I had super nice clothes on, because I was very thin. Um, some folks say I looked sickly. Um, definitely struggling with my eating disorder for sure, but it wasn't like as bad of an eating disorder as I thought. Until 2 years ago, it got worse. But now I'm in a great place, and within my eating disorder, I gained some weight, and I'm so grateful for it. Like, I don't want to say I don't like the term normal. I hate that term. I would say I look healthy. There we go. Um, yes. I think the word normal needs to be taken out of just dictionary and vocabulary to begin with. But I just feel like society, we have turned that word normal into a weapon and into a object of oppression or suppression. Someone's not normal. You know what I mean? And it's just like, well, guess what? Don't be normal, because nobody made a change by being like everybody else. That's all I'm gonna say on that one. But yeah, anyways, I don't know how I got to that topic, but yeah. So I felt like it would be a sense of rejection because I was quote unquote ugly. But that's the thing. A lot of times, it wasn't even people rejecting me, it was myself rejecting me before I even give them a chance to see if they would reject me or not. I was already projecting I was already projecting the rejection that I felt inside. I was projecting that onto others, and not in the way of me rejecting them. I was projecting um, my thoughts. So I'm like, okay, if I think this about myself, they think it about me too. And that sometimes is the case, but that's also not always the case. And so I'm just like, I just realized that now, and I was just like literally, like right now, I'm like, yeah, like a lot of the times I was rejecting me. It wasn't even another person. Um, so yeah, we love to learn about that. Now I don't think I'm ugly. Listen, I love myself. I have confidence. Finally. Um, okay, so here's the next one. Honesty equals help equals healing. A period. We talk about that a lot on the podcast in general. Honesty equals healing. But something new that I added the other day was honesty equals help equals healing. Okay, and then here's this next discussion point, or not discussion point, this next why statement. There we go. These thinking statements. Um, I was I was attending an AA meeting. Now, I don't struggle with alcohol or anything like that. Y'all know my struggle is with pornography and webcam, especially webcam. I like to go to open AA meetings because I love to learn about people and folks who have struggled in life. Like, I mean, struggled in life, and that includes addiction. They have always been able to inspire me. Just people who struggle. And especially when I see the honesty combined with help, combined with healing. Oh my gosh, going to an AA meeting, it's amazing. But this is an open AA meeting, and one of the quotes that they said from one of the books that they were reading was, "We live to use, and we use in order to live." Listen. So when people, that's the thing. Let's talk about drugs, for example. Y'all know how I say drugs are less about addiction and more about a form of sanity. Not, okay. Addiction oftentimes is less about addiction and more about sanity. There we go. That's how I meant to say it. Um, that's the thing. Like a lot of people, they're using they're self medicating by using these, drugs that are on the streets that are, and it's not regulated. But it's just like they're on fire internally and mentally, and they're just trying their best to put it out. They're just trying to survive. But how humans work, how we've always worked as human society, even back from the hunter gatherer days, is we we do something, though it might kill us eventually. We do it in order to live. We still do it in order to live because we're trying to survive in that moment. I mean, that's what human nature is. It is also huge survival. Like, consistently, we're always thirsty, we're always hungry. We're just trying to survive. And it's not like, you know, we're in a place in society right now that makes surviving, um, you know, easy, or easy as it should be, in my personal opinion. Because y'all know how I say on here, unfortunately, mental health is a privilege, not a priority. And so, to circle this topic around, to give you a better example or more in depth example, if you don't understand what I just said, our if you don't have insurance, it costs so much money to get mental health medication. It costs so much money to see a psychiatrist. It costs so much time in order for you to finally get to see a psychiatrist. And that's just tons of money. And if you're paying insurance, that's still tons of money. So it's like, guess what? Mental health and suffering and addiction, that is a $1 billion industry. They are getting their money regardless. That's what I'm saying. I'm not a fan of the top 1%. I just think that there's a lot of corruption. And it doesn't matter because money's more important than people, according to them. But, and it's just like they don't care that people are dying. As long as they're getting paid big bucks, they don't care. So that's the thing. That's why I'm just like, I just, I, it's cheaper for someone to pay 20 bucks to get crack cocaine or to get marijuana. Is one, they don't have to wait 4 months. They don't have to pay insurance for it. They can just go down the street. It's very accessible. Doing things the quote unquote right way is not that accessible. And so I say this to just throw out once again more understanding that there's so much more beneath and behind a reality that we cannot see. Things are so complex. Things are not so black and white as say no to drugs. If we're going to say no to drugs, let's say no to um, expensive medication when the med does not need to be that expensive. You don't need to pay $400 for a 30-day supply of medication. You don't need to pay 400. That's ridiculous. That is absurd. Other countries look at us and they're like, "What?" So now trust me, I love America. Don't get me wrong. I think this is the greatest country in the world. So I'm not bashing America. I'm more so calling out an observation of capitalism, which runs the world. And there are pros and cons with capitalism. And this is one of the cons. And, this is not to say that everyone's horrible. This is more so to say that there are people that know what they're doing and they don't care. And then there are a lot of people who just don't know. We're not conditioned or taught to see that there's a reality behind every mugshot. We're just not taught to see that things are so much more complex. Um, so that's kind of what I got from that statement, live to use to live, because it's like you're using it to live, but then you become addicted because you're addicted to living. You're addicted to surviving. We're just, addiction can look different. Sometimes addiction looks like you're being thirsty or you're very hungry. See, that's the thing. We don't mention how that's also a form of addiction, is the basic needs to survive, or excuse me, the acceptable basic needs to survive. Hunger, thirst, that's an addiction. That's an addiction. You need, to drink water. You need to eat. You know what I mean? You need it to survive. And so that's what, that's what I got from that quote. And I'm speaking from experience, um, with my addictions. Okay, and then here's something that I wrote down. It's a quote that I thought about in my head. It says, "It wasn't doing chores that I did not like. I just did not like being around him." So that means, for me, my father, okay, like when he would make me go outside and cut the grass, I realized, honestly, of course, it was hot outside and I wanted to stay inside and play video games, but that wasn't like the deep root to why I didn't want to do it. It was more so I just didn't want to spend time with him. And y'all know, listening to previous episodes, y'all know exactly why I did not want to spend time with him. The next thing, we got a couple more. I think like four more. So let's see. Okay, tragic turned triumph. Oh no, excuse me. Tragic turned trauma. Trauma turned triumph. Period. Okay, and then here's another one. Privilege doesn't know pain. Now, this is not saying race. This is saying privilege just in general. Everyone has. Well, most people in this country have privilege. You know what I mean? And I say most people because there are definitely some that society just completely does not care about and abandon, and we just see them on the streets with no one to help them. Um, but yes, whether we're in a house, whether we're able to go to the store and buy Tylenol, simple things like that, we all have privilege. So we're not always aware of the pain of others that don't have our privilege, and our privilege can blind us. Now, privilege isn't a bad thing, it's a neutral thing. It can get out of hand and it can just cause us to be blind. But privilege by itself, it's not a bad thing. It is a neutral term. That word was never meant to be a weaponized word. Um, However, we are talking about human beings here, and the things about human beings is whatever you place in our hands as human beings, we will turn something bad out of it, and we will also turn something good out of it. So we're human beings. It's just like that's just how it's gonna go. There's gonna be some pros and cons because we're humans. There's always gonna be, you know, someone that does something bad. There's always gonna be someone that does something good. So privilege don't always know pain, and I say this, and I say this to myself as well. That's why I wrote it down. Um, remind me to check my privilege sometimes. Like, if someone's going through something that I never been through and I'm dismissing their experiences, that's not fair. If I haven't went through it, I should just be quiet and listen. Because I can't tell someone what their experience is if I've never experienced. It's not my experience to tell, it's theirs. So that's the thing. And I'm just like, so I learned, Holy Spirit has been teaching me, you know, check my privilege before I wreck myself. You know what I mean? Check the privilege before you wreck the privilege. Because, I don't want to give privilege a bad name. And then also, that privilege can be taken from me and I will have to be humbled. And for example, when I also, and here's another example of blind privilege, how many of us right now are thinking about how we can just go to the drugstore and buy Tylenol if we have a headache? Like, does that cross our mind? You're not a bad person. See, that word privilege, it's a neutral term. Um, I know it just can come off weaponizing because that's like how the term is now. Um, it has a weaponized stigma. But, anyways, our privilege, you know, doesn't give us the conscious um, mindset to think about, oh, I'm in a house right now with a roof over my head. But, we're thinking about, like, our privilege is making us think about, oh, my day's boring, or, ooh, I wonder what that new video game, I'm so upset until I get that new video game, or I hate my nails right now, I gotta get them done. And that's not a bad thing. Get your nails done. We love a good self care. Play, get that video game. I'm waiting for the new Assassin's Creed to come out. You know, but I say these examples to say, like, you know, privilege has protected us from, having to think about what we don't have or to think about what others don't have. There we go. So I don't know. It's just something to think of. You know what I mean? You're not a bad person. It's just something to think of every now and then. And I say just find one thing that you're grateful for slash thankful for, because someone out there does not have that. And it's just good to, be aware. At least try. How about this? Don't be perfect at it, but at least try. At least try to be aware. And when someone is telling you their experiences or their lacks or their areas that they don't have privilege, just listen. If you haven't been through it, just listen. You want to gain understanding, and and that's hard. That's hard because the word privilege is now more weaponized than not. Um, so all in all, to say, everyone can benefit from listening to someone. I just feel like as humans, especially us in first world countries, you know what I mean? Like, we really just gotta, we need to just listen because there's a lot of people that don't have what we have. Um, and I don't know, and just in general, like, we gotta listen to each other. We gotta understand, and the best way to understand someone is to listen. If you haven't experienced, the best way to understand is to listen. And so it's like, it's hard to do because we're not taught to do that in society. So don't beat yourself up if you can't do it. I'm struggling with it. I used to be really good at listening. Um, so just listen. Just try and listen. You could even tell the person, I'm going to try to listen. You can communicate that you tried or that you're trying, but you gotta mean it. You know, because listening ain't easy at first, especially when it's about certain topics. You know, folks, we gotta understand each other. We're not black and white. We're so gray and complex. You know why? Because we're human beings. We're human beings. And we're attacking each other, a lot because we don't understand each other a lot. And it's not like we're taught to do that, when we're looking at the media and looking at politicians bash each other. People are talking over each other. They're not trying to understand each other. They're trying to, let me get off my soapbox, but I was going to say they're both trying to manipulate your votes. But I mean, okay, they are, because we always find out that one or the other lied about something. Just like, oh my gosh. And especially I be doing my research now on politicians, and I'm like, why are humans like this? So it's just like, why do we have to be like this? Like, seriously, I bet aliens are looking at us as a comedy show. Anyways, let me get off my soapbox. But the point is, privilege doesn't always know pain. So, we gotta listen and understand people. Okay, oh, here's one. Folks love to the capacity that they love themselves. Folks understand to the capacity that they understand themselves. We're going back to that whole projection. Yes, yes, projection. Oh yeah, I'm throwing myself under the Hummer limousine too. See, I don't say throwing myself under the bus. I try to be bougie. Yes, I say throw myself under the Hummer limousine. And you know what? Speaking of bougie, I yeah, I try to be so bougie sometimes. Now y'all know I hate beer. Um, but the rare times that I drink beer, I am that person that drinks beer with their pinky up. I'm not gonna just be beering, I'm gonna be bougie beering, So, anyways, let me reread that quote again because that's beautiful. And it's something that Holy Spirit gave to me, so I just wrote it down. Folks love to the capacity that they love themselves, and folks understand to the capacity that they understand themselves. Folks reject to the capacity that they reject themselves. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let that settle in because Is there areas of our life that, we're getting triggered by what someone said or what someone does or by a word that someone does? For example, folks that I got an example. I got a good example. So, folks, for example, that are homophobic. And though I'm gay, I used to be very homophobic because that's what I was taught. Um, but this is what I think. Okay, is it um that folks are afraid of being, it's because someone is different than them. There we go. And so it's just like they're hating that person for being different. And it's because on the inside, what is really there is that person deep down has the fear of being different because they see what being different can do. They're on the other side of that different person. You know what I mean? And they're seeing the harassment and they're doing it themselves on the other person. Um, and so deep down, what if homophobia is a fear? Because they're hiding something on the inside. I'm not going. I mean, hey, if you in the closet, listen. Just try not to bash people that are out the closet, because you're not out just yet. Don't be like me. You gonna regret it. Trust me. You gonna regret it. Just don't do it. I'm just gonna save you to hurt, save others to hurt. Don't do it. Don't be like me. You will regret it. I had to make amends the other day. I mean, I've been making amends for other stuff, but I had to make amends the other day. But yes, so what I'm using the example of homophobia is, you know, um, are people projecting, you know, um, hate on homophobia because they don't understand it? And is that projection because they don't understand themselves and they hate themselves in some area, or they hate the idea of being different in any other aspect of their life. So they project that onto a community or onto a person because it's our way of survival. But that's the thing. The body doesn't always know how to best survive. The brain doesn't always know how the best way to survive. And let's be honest, we're in a society, we're in a world where media is rampant. There is so much misinformation. We live in an internet age where there is so much misinformation. Just like goodness has spread because of, internet, bad things have too. Um, so, yes, so that's just something to think about. A lot of these things that we don't like about someone, could there be, even if it's just a small thing, because a mustard seed is very small, but that thing grows big. So could it be a mustard seed in us, you know, of projection? A mustard seed projection. What is it? You know what I mean? Do we hate someone because we don't understand them, because there's a part of ourselves that we don't understand just yet? Do we hate someone who's different, you know, because we hate the idea of ourselves being different? And that's the thing, folks. Being different is a beautiful thing. Nobody makes a change by being like everyone else. I'm telling you, folks, I'm speaking from experience. Let me tell you something. Fitting in the box. Now, there's a time and a place where you got to fit in the box to survive. You know, sometimes that box gets toxic, but like in my household, I had to quote unquote try my best to fit in the box because um, if I was like show them I'm gay, they would kill me. Literally, my father would kill me. I'm not even joking. He already tried to kill me a couple times, but so so I'm not talking about that. I'm saying like when you're on your own and you're in college now, or you're just in the real world now, folks, it is time. You don't got nothing to prove to nobody no more. You are out of high school. You are out of that small town country or wherever you're from. Or You know what? You too old. You too old to not be living your life and to be living someone else's life when they gonna die first anyway. It's like you don't need to start living when you're 70 because your 90-year-old homophobic father died finally. You know what I mean? And I know it's easier said than done. What I'm getting at is if you look at your life right now, you know, would you be able to confidently say that if you are on your deathbed tomorrow, that you felt like you at least lived your life? Do you feel like when you were 60 years old on your deathbed, do you feel like you will be able to look back on your life and be proud that you were you? Do you feel that you will be able to look back on your life and even say, I'm glad I tried to be me? You know, even just trying. So, yes, you know, this world has a lot of good, but this world also has a lot of bad folks. It has so much, gosh, there's so much evil and hate and darkness in this world, folks. Being yourself and not trying to please the next person who probably is judging you anyway, you know, you need to be light. And it's not just light for yourself, but you being yourself encourages other people to be themselves. Now, this is going to land on the right ears. You know, it's not everybody's time to be themselves just yet. Whether it's survival mechanism or where it's just not time just yet, you know, because that is a reality, you know. But for the folks who've been having that voice in their head tell them, you can't keep this facade up, this is your sign. This is your sign. Do your thing, king, or do your thing, queen, or do your thing, royalty. This is your sign. It's time. You know, it's time. Okay. Oh, and these last two. Okay. This kind of ties in with it. So, how do I know people judged other people? Because I judge them myself. Why do I judge a lot of other people? Because I judged myself. You know, I felt God tell me yesterday, He said, lay down your weapon, child. Lay down your weapons. And that meant so much to me. I started tearing up because, folks, y'all know I've been through a lot of trauma. And, you know, for so long I had to constantly be on defense mode because I just never knew. Doesn't matter if it was good or bad time. And, you know, now I'm in a time in my life where being on defense mode no longer serves me. You know, it did for a while. And I needed to be on defense mode, unfortunately. You know, but it did serve me. You know, that's just the unfortunate circumstance. That's what happens in a trauma environment. You know what I mean? You're gonna have to be on defense mode because that is you trying to survive. You know, but as I've been healing and therapy and medication and talking to Holy Spirit about it, you know, Holy Spirit last night was like, "Lay down your weapons, child." And I was like, "Bitch, you right," because my weapons that I had because I was on defense, you know, they started being weaponized against me. You know, it started to be a cycle of projection. It started to be a toxic illusion. You know, it started to be like a memory memorial, um, where just the memories, but those circumstances are dead. But the memories, I just keep going back to the memory memorial. She's like, yes, those memories are dead. And I'm not saying this, you know, outside of trauma. I'm not saying this inside of trauma necessarily. I'm just saying just in general. Like, I'm in a place in my life and I'm in an environment in my life and in my healing journey where it is time to lay down my weapons. And I'm telling myself, you know, it's okay. Because for me, at least when it comes to this, it's not enough for me to be like, God has my back. It's not enough. Because I felt like God didn't have my back then. So that's just how I felt. Whether he did or didn't, it doesn't matter. That's just how I feel. And when it comes to trauma, feelings are very important, just in general, but feelings are very important. We got to use that to help us navigate our healing journey so that we can call out our feelings, and call out when it's our trauma, call out when it's just our feelings trying to incite fear, or when it's trying to protect us, or when it's trying to harm us. We just got to acknowledge and be aware of where a feeling is coming from. Anyways, oh shit, I almost dropped my juice. Y'all. I got some strawberry with lavender smoothie. And yes, I am drinking it with my pinky up. I'm being a bougie broke bitch. Yes, yes, don't be jealous. Yes, just drink with your pinkies up, then we can all be together. Um, yeah. Folks, of course, I kind of forgot what I was gonna say. um, oh yeah, the weapons. Yeah, it's time to and I noticed, the weapons they made me start to judge. See, that's what happens. Like it made me start to judge others, and you know what happened? I started being a hypocrite. And I didn't even mean to. I started being the very thing that I am not liking. You know? So, and like, see, this is what happens. This is what can happen when something is there beyond its time. A lot of things in our life have an expiration date, both good and bad. This is one of those things where it has an expiration date. It's kind of like drinking milk. You can drink it before the expiration date and it'll serve you. But if you drink it like after the expiration date, it's going to slowly start getting worse. It's going to start harming you. If you drink it a day or two after expiration date, it's probably not going to harm you. But like if you drink it like a month or two after expiration date, oh, you're probably going to get food poisoning or something crazy like that. You're probably going to turn green, your arm's going to fall off, or you're probably going to turn green and start saying Hulk smash. You just never know. You might grow wings and start flying somewhere. You know what I mean? Um you know, it could just be anything. You might turn into a sexy llama. We just don't know. We just don't know. So that's the thing. Anything can happen. Anything bad can happen. Once something is past its expiration date in our lives. Um, so that's what something that can happen. So it's just like honestly, these weapons. It's okay. Like I'm just like Josias. Lay them down at the feet of God. It is okay. Because Holy Spirit knows I can pick up those weapons anytime. Anytime I need it. If anyone tries to touch me inappropriately or something like that, like when I was a kid, oh, I can easily bring those weapons back up. And that's what I'm also giving myself comfort on. I'm just like, Josias, you know how to bring the weapons back up, so just put them down. Put them down. I mean, obviously things aren't that easy, but in a perfect world, or not a perfect world, in a better world, I'd just be like, Josias, put them down because you know damn well you can easily put them back right back up at the right time. You know what I mean? And there is a time and a place to go to battle. You know what I mean? We're humans. We're gonna survive and we're gonna fuck up. So there is gonna be a time to come to battle to protect yourself. You know what I mean? However, not every single second is battle all the time. And that's what my nervous system and my body never knew. And so it's just like it's been years now that I've been in a healthy environment, and though I still, had my weapons, they did serve me. Um, but now it's not. It's time to go. It is time to go. Okay, and the last one. Take an L, folks. You know what that means? I know taking an L means a loss, but you know what else it means? It also means a lesson. Take an L. Go ahead and take several L's. If someone says take the L, I was like, yes, I will take the lesson so that I can learn. Take that L. It doesn't just mean loss. It means learn. It means lesson. It means learned. With two D's at the end. Learned. Say it with me. Learned. One more time. Because maybe you didn't get enough time to say it with me. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Learned. That's crazy. I should make that the title of this episode. Learned. I think I'm gonna do that. If I don't, I chickened out. But yes. Take an L. You know, take that loss. Take that learn. Take that learned and take that lesson. Take the L. It is okay. Take the L also can stand for take the love. You are worth being loved, folks. And with that being said, if no one has told you today to take an L, please allow me to be a first. Take the love. You are worth the love. If you're telling yourself, I know I just don't deserve what I have, I just don't deserve. Guess what? You don't gotta be deserving. That that's not what love is. Love is not to be earned. It is to be given. You are worth being loved. You may be in a relationship right now with that partner. You're like, I don't deserve them. You don't. That's not even in your vocabulary. You are better than deserving. You are worth. Because you know why? Just you are just as loved on your bad days as you are on your great days. Love should never have to be worked for or earned. Now relationships can be worked on, but love, you shouldn't have to earn love. It shouldn't have to be conditional. So, it's okay that you don't deserve these great things that you have in your life. You have them. Enjoy them because there are some people that don't have them. So enjoy them. Enjoy that partner that you think is out of your league. They love you because you are worth it to them. They see worth. They don't see deserving. Now this is going to hit the right ears. This is going to hit the right ears. But anyways, folks, know that you are loved and you are worth it, and you don't ever have to deserve it because you are worth it. Deserving means earned. Worth means given value. Just like we do $100 bill. Okay, that thing could be worn and dirty, but guess what? It's $100 still because we put worth in it. It doesn't have to do anything to earn $100. It is $100. So you go ahead and be that $1 billion bill, folks. Go ahead and do that. With that being said, this has been another episode of Vulnerability Time. I will see you all next episode. I think I'm going to make this a bonus episode. Yeah, there we go. We'll do that. We'll do a bonus episode. I don't know what I'm going to call it. But with that being said, let me let y'all go. Bye.